हरे कृष्णा। कब गौरवाणी प्रभुति कटे हरा देहा कृष्ण बोले। कब गौरवाणी प्रभुति कटे हरा देहा कृष्ण बोले। कांदिया बेरब सुख चढ़ी नाना लदा तरुतले। कंदिया बेरब दिल सुख चढ़ी नाना लदा तरुतले। पचा द्रुहते माघिया खाई भोगी भो सरस्वती। पचा गृहते महिया खाई पुलिने पुलिने गड़गड़ी दीपो गुरु कृष्णा कोला हला। पुलिने गड़गड़ी दीपो गुरु कृष्णा कोला हला। रामावासी जाने प्रणति कोरिया मगि भोगृ पारलेसा। रामावासी जाने प्रणति कोरिया मगि भोगृ पारलेसा। वैष्णव चरण रेणुगय मध्य दोरी आवादुगा भेषा। वैष्णवाचरण रेणुगय मध्य दोरी आवादुगा भेषा। गौड़ ब्रज जाने वेदना देखी वो होई गोबर सबासी। गौड़ा ब्रज बाजाने वेदना देखी वो होई गोबर सबासी। मेरा स्वरूप सुरभि नयने ओय बोरा धर दासी। मेरा स्वरूप सुरभि नयने ओय बेरा धर दासी। गवे गौरवाने सुरधुनि तटे हरा देहा कृष्ण बोले। कभी गौरवाणी दुरधुनी तटे हरा देहा कृष्ण बोले। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। गौरनिताय श्री गौरनिताय गौरनिताय श्री गौरनिताय निताय गौर अजय निताय गौरंग जय निताय गौरंग जय निताय गौरंग जय 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 प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव।
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् विश्रवांश। श्रीरूपं सकृतां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् अद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेव श्रीराधाकृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासवती हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते शिवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये अष्टाप्रायेषु भगवद्गीतेषु नित्यभागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्या नामिने गुरुतिषि नमः नमो ब्रह्मण्याय देवाय ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः ॐ विश्वपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य निष्कारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे आचार्य पंकज लंगाई जय श्री गुरु परमानंद माधव श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वासन भावस्तन विवाह्य स्मरेत् भाग्य मंत्रम से विष्णु विष्णु हे हरे कृष्ण. So today we are seeing that chapter is Canto 16th chapter. Here to meet the Lord. Text numbers from 50 to thank you each and every one of you. I think there are three around here. So we'll discuss for some time. So I have some notes. We'll discuss what we have done, some major points. Read through the text we have to the syllabus. So the text number 52. लोके विततम् आत्मानां लोकं चात्मनि सन्ततम् उभयं च मया व्याप्तं मयि चैवोभयं कृतम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami. In this world of matter, which the conditioned soul accepts as consisting of enjoyable resources, conditioned soul expands, thinking that he is the enjoyer of the material world. Similarly, the material world expands in the living entity as a source of enjoyment. This way, they both expand. But because they are my energies, they are both pervaded by me. As the Supreme Lord, I am the cause of these effects. And one should know that both of these them rest in me. The Mayavada philosophy sees everything as being equal in quality, the Supreme Personality of God or Supreme Brahman, and therefore sees everything as worshipable. This dangerous theory of Mayavada school has turned people in general into towards atheism. On the strength of this theory, one thinks that he is God, but this is not a fact. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Tatam Idam Sarvam Jagat Avyakta Murtina. The fact is that the entire cosmic manifestation is an expansion of the Supreme Lord's energies, which are manifested in the physical elements and the living entity. The living entities wrongly consider the physical elements to be resources meant for their enjoyment, and they think themselves to be the enjoyers. However, neither of them is independent. They are both energies of the Lord. The original cause for the material energy and the spiritual energy is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, Although the expansion of the Lord's energies is the original cause, one should not think that the Lord himself has expanded in different ways. To condemn that theories of the Mayavadis, the Lord clearly says in Bhagavad Gita, Matstani sarva bhutani nachaham tesam avastita. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Everything rests upon him, and everything is but an expansion of his energies. But this does not mean that everything is as worshipable as the Lord himself. The material expansion is temporary, but the Lord is not temporary. The living entities are parts and parts of the Lord, but they are not the Lord himself. The living entities in this material world are not inconceivable, but the Lord is. The theory that the Lord's energies, being expansions of the Lord, are as good as the Lord is. Hare Krishna. So here, Lord Anantashesha is describing about the Mayavadi. Mayavadi. We all know who is a Mayavadi. The Mayavadis think that Mayavadis think that also say they are also parts of the Supreme Lord. But when the parts become when the supreme whole becomes a part, the supreme whole becomes null, and individually each and every one of them is God himself themselves. They forgot their identity, and because they are under the Maya. So this is what the Mayavada philosophy all about. And Lord Anantsesa is explaining that the Mayavadis are the highest aparadis of the Krishna. Generally, we are all in ignorance. Because we in this material world, we are bound by these three modes of material nature, Rajoguna, Sattva and Tamoguna. So these three come into races. The Bhagavad Gita says these three modes are in the race. Sometimes Sattva Guna is highest, sometimes Rajoguna is the highest, sometimes Tamoguna is highest. But what happens over the period when the Tamoguna increases increases to so much extent that one feels that they are God, and they say, "Who become the God?" When Bhagavad Gita was translated initially, before Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita, of course, our Acharyas, Balaji Vidyabhushan, and all the other people has also translated Bhagavad Gita. But during the early days, like other political people who has translated Bhagavad Gita, not many people were surrendered to Bhagavad Gita, to the Lord. So was it 49, 50, and 51 also? I thought it was 52. So let me read the 49, 15,
Yeah, Prabhuji, please start from 49.
49. Sri Sukam Vacha. Samastuto Bhagavan Evam Anantastam Avasita. Vidyadhara Padam Pritas Triketum Kurudvaha. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami continued. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anantadeva, being very much pleased with the prayers offered by Chitraketu, the king of Vidyadharas, replied to him as follows. O best of the Kuru, the dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit. Extremity. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anantadeva, replied as follows. O king, as a result of your having accepted the instructions spoken about me by the great sages Narada and Angira, you have become completely aware of the transcendental knowledge because you are now educated in the spiritual science. You have seen me face to face. Therefore, you are now completely perfect. The perfection of the life is to be spiritually educated and to understand the existence of the Lord and how He creates, maintains, and annihilates the cosmic manifestation. When one is perfect in knowledge, he can develop his love of Godhead through the association of the such perfect persons as Narada and Angira and the members of the disciplic succession. Then one is able to see the unlimited personality of Godhead face to face. Although the Lord is unlimited, by his causeless mercy, he becomes visible to the devotee. He is then able to see him. In our present position of the conditioned life, We cannot see or understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyam. Devonmukhahi jihvado swayam eva spuritaha. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by the transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastime the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 2 2. If one takes to the spiritual life under the direction of the Narada Muni or his representative and thus engages himself in the service of the Lord, he qualifies himself to receive the Lord face to face. The Brahma Samhita 5.38 states, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanina Santa Sadaiva Hrudayesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord, Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of the love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundara, situated within the heart of a devotee. One must follow the instructions of his spiritual master. Thus, one becomes the qualified and later see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Arak Chitraketu. Here, Lord Anantashesha, here in this verse, Lord Anantashesha, after being glorified by Chitraketu, Lord Anantashesha gives instructions to Chitraketu Maharaj. What is he doing? O king, as a result of your having accepted the instructions spoken by me, by the great sages, Narada and Angira, you have become completely aware of the transcendental knowledge. Because you are now educated in the spiritual science, you have seen me face to face. Therefore, you are now completely perfect. So here, many people, when you speak about God, the first question they ask is, does God exist? Show me. If you show me the God, then I start believing. People generally think, we also think thought like that before coming to Krishna consciousness. Seeing is believing. There is a proverb, seeing is believing. When you see, then only you believe. So we also want to see Krishna. We want to see God. Then only we may believe. Okay? Even after seeing, it is not guarantee that we believe him. It is our ego, it is asking us to see, asking us to show God. Yesterday, when we started Bhagavad Gita sessions, His Grace Madhav Gopinath Prabhu has wonderfully explained. So, who can understand Bhagavad Gita? The first is there are four components he mentioned. First component he beautifully mentioned about Adhikari. What is the qualification to understand Bhagavad Gita, to understand Srimad Bhagavatam? Forget about seeing Krishna. Understanding a God, there is a qualification. Who understands? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktosmi Saka Cheti. So either you should be a friend or you should have relation with Krishna. And second is you should be a devotee. Until unless we are a devotee of Krishna, we serve Krishna and his devotees, there is no possibility of getting the qualification. To understand Bhagavad Gita, your first qualification is becoming a devotee. What is it becoming a devotee? To surrender to Krishna, to surrender to the instructions of the spiritual master and the other devotees. Then we start understanding Bhagavad Gita. And one of the Prabhuji who was attending, he asked, Prabhuji, I have read Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada, but I could not understand any word of it. So you said you should become a devotee, but I could not understand. But he was thinking that he was a devotee. Then Madhav Gopinath Prabhu was answering, to become a devotee, first one has to chant the holy name Hare Krishna. This is the first instruction which any Vaishnava Sampradaya says. So when Dhruva Maharaj met Narada Muni, what was the instruction given by Narada Muni? You have to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So when you chant the holy names of Krishna, our mind gets purified. This is what Srila Prabhupada is also mentioning over here in the translation. O king, as a result of your having accepted the instructions spoken by me, the instructions of Krishna were given by Narada Muni and Angira, their disciple succession. So Our spiritual master is a representation of Krishna. He is non-different from Krishna. When we hear the instructions and follow the instructions of our spiritual master, we are actually following the instructions of the Lord Anantashesha directly. It's a direct. It's not only not a direct indirect way. Yashya Prasada, Bhagavata Prasada. When we serve our spiritual master, we are actually serving the Lord. Then what happened? You have become completely aware of the transcendental knowledge. So Krishna is also saying in the Bhagavad Gita, if you endeavor to understand me by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is me who gives you the intelligence to come back to me. By our own mental speculation, by our own mental strength, we can never understand what is Krishna. It is impossible. Bhagavad Gita is open, Srimad Bhagavatam is open. We are hearing the classes. But until and unless we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, we are not going to understand Krishna. Because you are now educated in spiritual science, you have seen me face to face. That is what we see face to face is. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that we should not try to see Krishna, but we should act in such a way that Krishna sees us. That is actually the darshan of Krishna. That is what actually seeing Krishna. But even the purpose Srila Prabhupada mentions about why we can another way, another purpose, another sloka he mentions, Rupa Goswami that Atha Sri Krishna Namadi Na Bhave Grahi Indriya Sevo Mukhi Jihvado Swayam Deva Spuradha. Atha Sri Krishna Namadi. So the Krishna's name, form, and past tense we cannot understand by our own Grahyam Indriya, by our own material senses. Then how can we do it? Sevo Mukhi Jihvado by service. The service should be rendered in such a way that in the mode of Trinadapi Sunichena, Karorhavi Saishna, Amanina Manedena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, what is the Kirtana all about? It is 24 hours chanting of the holy names. It is not that 24 hours we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. 24 hours being Krishna consciousness, doing your activities for Krishna. One is your chanting, association, reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all these things come under the Kirtana. So, His Holiness Bhakti Prem Swami Maharaj beautifully explains the word Kirtana as engaging everything in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engage your activities, everything in the service of Krishna is called Kirtana. So, when we are in Trinadapi Sunichana mentality, we can do every activity in Krishna consciousness. This starts with first with the Sevon Mukhahi Jihvadav by service through our tongue, either through chanting of the holy names, eating prasadam, and glorifying Krishna. So when we do all these things, we can understand. Swayam eva spuratvidha. Krishna is saying, I will reveal to you by myself. So it is easy for us if Krishna reveals himself. If you want to try to find Krishna, you cannot find Krishna. Krishna is everywhere. You know, Krishna is in the Paramatma. Krishna is everywhere, inside and outside. But can you realize Krishna in the way? No, because we do not have that service attitude. Some way we can in some sense we are Krishna conscious, but not 100%. Because we have started chanting, eating prasadam, all these things we have to. Krishna is revealing according to our way of surrender. So then what happens? The Bhakti Rasa, Brahma Samhita, it is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochena Santosh Aditya Prabhuji Vilokayanti. In Bhagavad Gita, in most of the places, in many places, Krishna says about Bhakti, Bhakti, Bhakti. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, Yome, Bhaktiya Prayasati. In that sloka, Krishna stresses 4 times about Bhakti. So what Krishna wants is the Bhakti, the Prema. So if you have the ointment of the Prema applied on in our eyes, then you can start seeing Krishna. Today we have cataract. So when we have cataract, we cannot see clearly. We have to get operated. So similarly, we have to get operated by these 4 regulative principles. and all the things, Ekadashi, all the things. Then we develop Krishna Prema. Then that Premanjana Surita will allow you to see Krishna. So initially when we start SSR sessions, so we say that our goal is to go back to Godhead, to Krishna. But when you try to become a devotee, when you advance in your spiritual journey, our goal should become Krishna Prema. Namo Mahavardhanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauradakshan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come here to give us Krishna Prema. He never said that I will take back to Krishna, to Godhead. Of course, it's a promise of Krishna. You will go back to Godhead. But even in Sishastakam Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mama Janmani Janmani Se Bhavatat Bhakti Rahai Tukitva. He always wanted the service. He wanted to render service. So when there is love, there is service. So if we are eager to render service, that means we have love towards Krishna. So this is one of the indication of when we are getting the love of Krishna. So in every service, what you should our consciousness should be Premanjana Churita. I want that ointment of Prema so that I can clearly see what Krishna is talking about. That is what is real surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman parijajya mamekam sharanam bhaja. So people think that you abandon all the kinds of religions, all kinds of dharma. It's not that. So abandoning all kinds of dharma means incorporate love of Krishna in whatever activities which you are doing. So whatever situation you are in, you have so many dharmas, and ultimately these all dharmas should lead to Mata dharma. That is what sarma dharma, surrender to Krishna means. Text number 50. All living entities, moving and non-moving, are my expansions and are separate from Krishna. I am the super soul of all living beings who exist because I manifest them. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations like Omkara and Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. And I am the spiritual supreme absolute truth. These two forms of mind, namely the transcendental sound and eternally blissful spiritual form of the deity, are my eternal forms. They are not material. But the science of devotional service has been instructed by Narada and Angira to Chitraketu. Now, because of Chitraketu's devotional service, he has been seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the devotional service, one advances step by step, and one is on the platform of love of God, Prema, Kumartha Mahana. He sees the Supreme Lord at every moment. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, when one engages in the devotional service 24 hours a day, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Bhutapam. In accordance with the instructions of the spiritual master, his devotional service becomes more and more pleasing. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is within the core of everyone's heart, speaks to the devotee. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Tam Ema Mam Upayanti. Chitraketu Maharaj was first instructed by his gurus, Angira and Narada, and now having followed his instructions, he has come to the stage of seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. Therefore, the Lord is now instructing him in the science of knowledge. The essence of knowledge is that there are two kinds of vastu or substance. One is real and another being illusory or temporary. Is sometimes called non-factual. One must consider these two kinds of existence. The real tattva or the truth consists of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 11. Varandi tattvas vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagwan iti shakyate. Then the transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. The absolute truth exists eternally in three features. Therefore, Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagwan combined are the itself. The category of emanations from the non-substance are two: activities and forbidden act, karma and vikarma. Karma refers to the pious life or material activities performed during the day and mental activities of dreams at night. These are more or less desired activities. Vikarma, however, refers to illusory activities, which are something like will of the wisp. These are activities that have no meaning. For example, modern scientists imagine that life can be produced from chemical combinations, and they are very busy trying to prove this in their laboratories. Throughout the world, although no one in history has been able to produce the substance of life from material combination, such activities are called vikarma. All material activities are actually illusory, and progress in illusion is simply a waste of time. These illusory activities are called akarya, and one must learn of them from the instructions of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:7. Karmano hi abhi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Akarmanasya bodhavyam ghanana karmano gatihi. The intricacies of the actions are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. One must learn of these directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, as Anantadeva, is instructing King Chitraketu because of the advanced stage of the devotional service he achieved by following the instruction of Narada and Angira. Herein it is said, Aham vai sarva bhutani, the Lord is everything, including the living entities and the material or physical elements. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:4-5. भूमिरापो अनिलो कम मनो बुद्धि एवच अहंकार इति मे भिन्न प्रकृति अस्ति पर्ययम् इतस्त्व अन्यं प्रकृतिं विधि मे परं जीवभूत महाबाहो ययेदं धारयति जगत्. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, all together these eight comprise by separated material energies. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which consists of the living entities who are struggling with the material nature and are sustaining the universe. The living entities try to lord it over the material or physical elements, but both of the physical elements, spiritual spark, are energies emanating from the. Therefore, the Lord says, Aham Sarvai Sarva. So, in the essence, Krishna is saying over here that all living entities, moving and all the dualities which we see are coming from Krishna himself. Moving and non-moving are my expansions and are separate from me. They are not Krishna, but they are separate from Krishna. So we know that three energies of Krishna. What are they? Antarangika Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, and Bahirangika Shakti. So Antarangika Shakti is where Ladini Shakti, all those things come. So the Lakshmi avatars, all the devotees come. And Tata Shakti, we are the Jiva souls, are Tatatha Shakti. And external energy or Maya or material energy is categorized into Hiranyaka Shakti. I am the super soul of all the living beings. Anantashesha he is clearly indicating that he is the one who is present inside us as Paramatma. So there are three levels which when we understand Krishna progressively, first we understand about the Brahman feature. Then we understand about Paramatma feature is who is all pervading, and ultimately the Bhagwan feature when we realize fully about Krishna. I am the form of the transcendental vibrations like Omkara and Hare Krishna Hare Rama. So all the Omkara, even in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that he is a pranama sound Omkara. So when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Omkara is also embedded in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Prabhupada explains in that purport of Bhagavad Gita. The sound of Omkara is already there in Hare Krishna. When you are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Why? Why Omkara is present in that mantra? When you chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are actually visualizing the form of Krishna. It is a Bhagavan form of Krishna which we are addressing. And Antarangika Shakti of Radharani we are addressing. So when we understand the Bhagavan aspect of Krishna, we are actually understanding the Brahman aspect also. The Brahman aspect is given by Omkara sound. So the sound vibration and eternal blissful spiritual form of the deity are my eternal forms. The deity which we see. Yesterday we had a welcoming of Jagannath Balkri Subhadra Magi. So they are not ordinary wood made of neem. There is Krishna himself, Jagannath himself who has come into our life. So the deity which we have is Krishna. The sound which we have is Krishna. It is if it is we who have to understand and realize that this is Krishna. Rupa Goswami says, when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, actually Krishna is standing on our tongue. Are we realizing it or not? Depends upon our progress in Krishna, the progress. So we have already read the text 52. So here Anantashesha is giving about the Mayavada philosophy. So who cannot understand Krishna? So who is the aparadhi of Krishna? Who is nothing but a Mayavad. So Mayavadis can never understand the personal form of Krishna. They think that they are the only who are Krishna. They are God. So there are so many other Bhagavad Gita's written, but never people have surrendered to God, any form of God, whether it is a Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan form, because that Bhagavad Gita is not coming from the Parampara. They are all Mayavadis. Srila Prabhupada, whenever he hears about Mayavada, he gives left and right to Mayavadi philosophy. He doesn't normally tell about Mayavadi. He holds left and right. But that's why when Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita, we can see a lot of people converting into devotees. Even the Western people who has no idea about Krishna. Indian people know about Krishna. They know Krishna as avatar, so all this past tense. But they do not understand Krishna completely. But in the Western countries, there is no scope for them to understand Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita, we can see so many wonders happening. How many temples are coming up? How many devotees are being transferred? How many Bhagavad Gitas are spreading out? So this is what the Bhagavan feature and from a pure devotee comes. So that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. When you want to understand the Vedic scriptures, whether it is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, one need to understand the meaning of each and every word. So we think that we have understood Bhagavad Gita, but every word of Bhagavad Gita, when you see in a particular context, it appears in a different way. For example, Bhagavad Gita first chapter, first verse, Kim Akurvati Sanjaya. What did they do? So many purposes were given. So many commentaries were given. What did they do? What did they do? The smile of Krishna has so many meanings. So, depending upon the mood of a preacher, the word appears in a different way without losing the essence. So, that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. We have to understand each and every word of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So, this Mayavadi philosophy was spread by Adi Shankaracharya, you all know. So, why did Adi Shankaracharya do these things? Suppose a person is in the mental hospital. How can you say that a person is completely treated of mental? He is free from mental. There is one test that the doctors conduct. So in the test, they will give the person a basket which is full of holes. The basket is full of holes, and ask the patient to collect water in this. If he is treated if he is treated of mental problem, he will say, "How can I fill this basket? It has holes. The water will not stay." But a person who is suffering from mental disease will go and try to collect water from the basket. So it is very clear to how to filter a mental patient from a non-mental patient. Similarly, Adi Sankaracharya came in this world to filter the filter devotees from the non-devotees. He gave the Mayavada philosophy, which the devotees won't accept. The person who is suffering from a mental disease will accept the Mayavada philosophy, but a devotee never accepts this Mayavada philosophy. And by that way, Adi Sankaracharya filtered devotees. So the Mayavada theory, you all know, says that if you tear a paper into 100 pieces, you tear a paper into 100 pieces, the original paper gets lost, isn't it? The original paper gets lost. But Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he has given that if a father produces 100 sons, will the father gets lost? No, right? Father is still there. Even though he has 100 or 1,000 children, the father still exists. Similarly, the original Father, Supreme Personality of Godhead, still exists even after delivering thousands of devotees, thousands of sons and daughters. Aham Bija Pradapita. Even in Ishopadesha, it says, Om Purnamidam Purnamada. So whenever some complete comes out, still that complete remains the complete. That is what Srila Prabhupada explains. So, but that's not Mayavadi philosophy doesn't accept that. That's why it's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Hoye Sarvanash. When you hear the commentaries of Mayavada, our devotional life is lost, completely ruined. But if we think Adi Shankaracharya as the greatest Mayavadi, it is again a problem for us. Uh, the followers of Adi Shankaracharya might be Mayavadis, but Adi Shankaracharya is not a Mayavadi. Ultimately, when he was leaving this material world, he gave so many songs. He could not control himself, the love of Krishna. He gave Bhajagovindam, 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 Mudamate. They sing the names of Lord Govinda. And not only that, the famous Jagannatha Stakam which we sing is given by Adi Shankaracharya. By that we can understand what is the love of Krishna, what the love of Shiva towards Krishna. Adi Shankaracharya is not a Mayavadi. But when you hear about Mayavadi, you have to strongly condemn. We all have to strongly condemn the Mayavadi things. Text 53 and 54. When a person is in deep sleep, he dreams and sees in himself many other objects, such as great mountains and rivers, or perhaps even the entire universe, although they are far away. Sometimes, when one awakens from a dream, he sees that he is in the human form, lying in his bed in one place. Then he sees himself in terms of various conditions as belonging to the particular nationality, family, and so on. All the conditions of deep sleep, dreaming, and wakefulness are but energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should always remember the original creator of these conditions and the Supreme Lord who is unaffected by them. Today being a working day and trying to go and going fast forward way, but please go and read the purpose of this. The Prabhupada. It's wonderful. We understand so many things, but I am trying to explain the essence of what is there in the purpose itself. So here, Srila Prabhupada in these two slokas is giving about the dreaming aspect of which as a jiva undergoes. There are three kinds of dreams. One is the daydreaming. We all know what is the daydreaming. Another is the night dreams, the dreams that come in the night. And there is one spiritual dream. The purport explains about the dreams in this material world. What kind of dreams a jiva experiences staying in this material world. So one day, in one of the sloka, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that once you go back to Krishna, Goloka, one will not come back. What is that? Janma karma cha me divyam yoveti tattva tektva dehan. That sloka was there. So when you understand my divine forms of the divine forms of past tense, when you come back to Goloka, you not come back to this material world. But we have the free will, right? Destiny, free will, we have understood, right? We all have the free will. So either using the free will, we can surrender to Krishna or go away from Krishna. We came from Goloka. We are not born here. We are from Goloka. All the jivas are eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Because we misused our free will, we are away from Krishna and we are struggling in this material world. And why don't we come back again after going back to Krishna? When you go back to Krishna again, if you misuse, you are surely going to back to coming to material world again. Then what is the sanctity of Krishna's word in this? So here in this context, Radha Gopinath Prabhu explains that there are dreams, isn't it? We all experience dreams, and especially in the night when we get horrible dreams, like a tiger chasing us, somebody is trying to kill us. We try to run so hard, but we are unable to run. Even our physical hands and legs move. We start fighting in the dream. Physical movements also we experience. We experience so much sweat, and that horrible dream. Next day, when we wake up, we say, "Oh, what a horrible dream I am having," and we do all possible things that again in the night, the horrible dream doesn't come, isn't it? We do all the things possible. We read Hanuman Chalisa, we chant the names of Krishna, we do all the things possible so that we don't get the horrible dreams, isn't it? Similarly, in this material world, experience in this material world is a horrible dream which we get in the night time. Once we wake up by by the grace of our Guru Maharaj, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, and the knowledge comes, and we wake up and understand what a horrible material world it is. When we go back to Krishna, we try to avoid all possible situations so that we don't go to the material world again. That's why Krishna says, once you come back to Krishna, me, when you come back to Goloka, you will not go to this material world again. That's our situation with the night dream. But Srila Prabhupada here also explains about the material dreams. So you see the billboards over there, some construction, different constructions are coming. Buy this flat, buy that flat. And what are those? What are those they advertising? Buy your dream home, dream villa, get your dream job, get your dream spouse. Is it going to happen? Whether whatever dream job you get, are you happy in the job? Are we happy in that job? Oh, 1 minute, please excuse me. One small call. Sorry for the interruption. So this material, even when you are having a dream job, you are not happy in that dream job. When you are getting a dream spouse, you are not happy in this material world. So what happens? All this false propaganda is nothing but a daydream. So when we are awake, so we are all awake right now. We have certain dreams. Are you going to be happy in the dreams? No. But we are thinking that one day we will be succeeding in this way in this life. We are all looking for success, which is not going to come. So it is said that you can wake up a sleeping person, but you cannot wake up a person who is pretending to be asleep. The person is pretending to be asleep, you cannot wake him up. Suppose if you can wake an ignorant person by the way of giving shastric knowledge, but you cannot wake up a materialistic person who is artificially trying to find happiness. He is always awake, but he is pretending to be asleep. That is what is called as daydreaming. The daydreaming are the materialistic activities which we are seeing every day. So one should have the spiritual dream. So what is a spiritual dream? Going back to Krishna. That's what's happening. So today, tomorrow morning, I get up and chant the holy names. So this is a what is that? It's a daydreaming. Sorry, spirit. 1 minute. 1 minute, Prabhuji. So there was one more urgent call. Okay. So we should have the spiritual dreams. So going back to Krishna. So how do you wake up a person who is pretending to be asleep? We should all do that. So if you give a tight slab, to the person who is pretending, he wakes up, isn't it? You have to give a tight slap. This Hare Krishna Maha Mantra gives us the tight slap. We are actually pretending that I am awake, but we are not awake. And this Hare Krishna mantra and this philosophy, when you give Hare Krishna mantra, this philosophy comes into the and comes into understanding, and it's like a tight slap. When we understand that, oh no, oh God, this is not the place I have to be. I have to go back to Krishna. So chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra wakes us up from the daydreaming. That's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in this paragraph. Text number 55. Know me to be the Supreme Brahman, the all-pervading super soul, through whom the sleeping living entity can understand his dreaming condition and his happiness beyond the activities of the material senses. That is to say, I am the cause of the activities of the sleeping living being. But when the living being becomes free from false ego, he understands his superior position as a spirit soul, part and parcel of the pleasure potency of the Lord. Thus, due to the Brahman, even while sleeping, the living entity can enjoy. The Lord,
Daddy?
uh, that Brahman, the Paramatma, that Bhagavan are I myself. That this is noted by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krama Sandarbha. So, so here, what is the daydreaming? We understood? We thinking that I am the controller, I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer. So when we get the tight slaps, we understand that I am not the controller. One day you will understand this is not my place. I am not the controller. I am the proprietor, not the proprietor. I am not the enjoyer. Then who am I? We start. Who am I? Session starts. You understand who am I? Jivera Sarupoi, Krishnera Nityadas. So this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra makes us awake from this illusion of temporary world to the reality of the spiritual world. This spiritual world is the permanent. This material world is temporary. If one dreams during sleep are merely subject matters witnessed by the super soul, how can the living entity who is different from the super soul remember the activities of the dreams? The experiences of one person cannot be understood by another. Therefore, the knower of the facts, the living entity who inquires into the incidents manifested in dreams and wakefulness, is different from circumstantial activities. That knowing factor is Brahman. In other words, the quality of knowing belongs to the living entities and to the Supreme Soul. Thus, the living entity can also experience the activities of the dreams and wakefulness. In both stages, the knower is unchanged, but the qualitatively one with the Supreme Brahman. So here we should understand quantitatively we are not same as Krishna, but qualitatively we are same. So the super soul can understand. So I cannot understand your dreams, and you cannot understand what dreams I am having. The problems which we face are individual. We cannot understand others' fault, but Supreme Soul, Supreme Krishna, can understand each and everyone's problem. But how can individual understand the problem? It is being explained over here. We are all qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, but quantitatively we cannot. We can understand our problems, but we cannot understand the remaining problem. So how can we understand this philosophy? Here, Srila Prabhupada explains about the importance of having association with the spirit, with Vaishnavas. Individually, when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the scriptures, we can never understand. We cannot understand how we are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord. So when we are out of the association, we think we become the materialistic person. But only in the association of the Supreme, the Vaishnavas, can we understand that we are the souls subordinate to Krishna. So here there is one statement which I would like to quote by His Holiness Rompar Swami Maharaj. He says in one of the lecture, cultivating good Vaishnava relationship can seem very delicate and at times challenging, but it is also so crucial and rewarding. It is very challenging and very delicate, but at the same time, it is very much important. This is because we develop our relationship with Krishna only in the company of a devotee. Without the association of devotees, we can never understand Krishna. Sitting at home reading Bhagavad Gita will not do it. Krishna is because Krishna is never alone, either in vacuum. He is always surrounded by his loving devotees, and thus we have to learn. So in Golaka, all the people, all the devotees are trying to serve Krishna. He is not alone. So what we when we go, if we want to go back to Krishna, Goloka, we have to get trained how to work with other devotees. If we have ego, why this devotee is doing like this? We don't have any place in Goloka. So we are dasa, anu dasa. We have to serve the devotees. We are not going to serve Krishna directly. We are going to serve Krishna's devotees. So that's why associating with the Vaishnavas is very much important. When the living entity, thinking himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternity, knowledge and bliss, his material condition life begins. In other words, instead of identifying his interest with mine, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions like his wife, children, and material possessions. In this way, by the influence of his actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death comes. So here, Srila Prabhupada is clearly explaining about the the result of forgetful of Krishna. So we all have a tendency to forget, isn't it? Our mind is very much expert. So we tend to forget where we kept some items. So we also in that way we also have forgotten our relationship with Krishna and thinking that I am the only the doer. Ahankara or Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaha Mitimade. Because of my forgetfulness, I am thinking that I am the doer. This is Ahankara. So here, Srila Prabhupada in one of his lectures mentions about story of a Indra. So once Indra commits an offense towards his spiritual master, where he was cursed to become a pig. So he lives like a pig, having a family and children. And Brahma comes there. Your tenure as a pig is completed. Now please come back to me. Come back to Krishna. And Indra in the form of pig says, "Oh, I am so busy over here. Don't you see? There is my wife, my pig children are going to school. I'm so busy over in this world. I'll come later. Please don't disturb me." That's what Indra said. Similarly, Krishna has come in this material world himself and asking us, "Please come back to me. I'm your father. By surrender to me, I'm going to take back. Excuse me, Krishna. Okay, you are Supreme Personality of Godhead. I understood it. But I have my wife, my children, and they are going to school. They are going to IIT needs. So I have so much work to do. Oh, Krishna, please come back some other time. I'm not going to come now. Don't you see? I'm generating a report for my project manager. This report should be submitted next in the next 2 days. And so much work is pending. And you are asking me to come back to Kuloka. What happens about this report? So we are all busy in the same way because we have forgot our relationship with Krishna. So what happens after forgetful of Krishna? What are the symptoms that we are forgetful of Krishna? There are 5 symptoms which Rupa Goswami is mentioning all about. One is we are longing for the past. Aren't we looking our childhood photo and seeing what a beautiful, blissful days our childhood was? So we are longing for the past. Fear of uncertainty in the future. What happens tomorrow? What happens to my family when I leave this world? So fear of the future. Lack of proper direction in our life. So we are going here and there because we don't have any proper direction. Fourth, agitated at the slightest provocation. When we have slightest provocation, we are getting agitated. We hold grudges against the persons who do bad things to us. Ultimately, fear of death. We are all afraid of death. This is what the forgetful of Krishna brings us. That's why in this material world, we are never happy because we are suffering from these 5 problems. So, what is the solution? The solution is to become conscious of Krishna, our relationship with Krishna in the association of the devotees. Then only we are going to understand, we are going to learn about Krishna and our problems get solved. A human being can attain perfection in life by self-realization through the Vedic literature and its practical application. This is possible especially from a human being born in India, the land of piety. A man who obtains birth in such a convenient position but does not understand his self is unable to achieve the highest perfection even if he is exalted to the light of the higher planetary systems. Purport. This statement is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 941. Lord Chaitanya said, Bharata Bhumite Hoiles Manusya Janma Yar Janma Sartaka Kori Paro Parapugar. Everyone born in India, especially as a human being, can achieve the supreme success through the Vedic literature and its practical application of life. When one is perfect, he can render service for the circularization of the entire human society. This is the best way to perform humanitarian work. So, what is Lord Anantashesha is saying? He is glorifying the rarest birth of a human being. Though the birth of human is temporary, but it is very precious. The way Manushyam Yoninam. So he is especially talking about the Manusha Yoni, the human body. Why? In this human body, only we can get Jnana Vijnana Sambhavam. In other forms of the body, whether it's a Devata body or it's a animal body, it is not possible. So what is Jnanam? Jnanam means the theoretical knowledge. The Srimad Bhagavatam, all these things, this is Jnanam. We are getting something. It is theoretical. But Vijnana means practically applied. Until and unless you apply this philosophy, it is not going to become realized or Vijnana. Only in this spiritual, in this human body, we can understand who is Krishna and go back to Krishna. So this is a special facility of a human body, Jnana and Vijnana. So you all know the parrot chanting. So there's one story that parrots go to a sage and ask, please save me from the shikari. And he gives the sage gives one mantra. What is that mantra? Shikari aayega, dal bichayega, usme fasna mat. So what is it? Shikari will come. He'll put the net, but don't get tempted into that. But what happened? These parents were chanting, Chikari aayega, chal bichayega, usme fasna mat. It was chanting. But ultimately, at the end, it is trapped in the net. Why? Because they are chanting the name, but chanting the mantra, but they did not understand what does mantra mean. They did not apply in their life. Similarly, we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 16 rounds, 32 rounds, 64 rounds, so and so. But did we understand the importance and glory of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? Or are we like parrot chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna without knowing the significance? But you have to apply the philosophy what we are learning. Practical application is very much needed. So attending the satsangs, yes, these are wonderful things, but we all have to apply the Trinadati Sunichana. So remembering the great trouble, so then what Anand Shesha goes on to say, remembering the great trouble found in the field of activities performed for fruitive results and remembering how one receives the reverse of the results one desires, whether from material actions or from the fruitive activities recommended in the Vedic literatures. An intelligent man should cease from desire for fruitive action, for by such endeavors one cannot achieve the ultimate goal of life. On the other hand, if one acts without desires for fruitive results, in other words, if one engages in the devotional activities, he can achieve the highest goal of life with freedom from miserable conditions. Considering this, one should cease from material desires. So you have to do spiritual activities and subdue our material desires. As husband and wife, a man and woman plan together to attain happiness and decrease unhappiness, working jointly in many ways. But because their activities are full of desires, these activities are never a source of happiness, and they never diminish distress. On the contrary, they are a cause of. So, if you are trying to be material happy, you are not going to get that happiness. Ultimately, it is the cause of great unhappiness. One should understand that activities of the persons who are proud of their material experience bring only results contrary to those such persons conceive while awake, sleeping, and deeply sleeping. One should further understand that the spirit soul although very difficult for the materials to perceive above all these conditions. And by the strength of one's discrimination, one should give up the desire for productive result in the present life and in the next. Thus become experience in the transcendental knowledge. One should become my devotee. Here Krishna is all clearly saying one should become a devotee. Then only you are going to understand the transcendental knowledge and reduce our material desires. Persons who try to reach the ultimate goal of life must expertly observe the supreme person, absolute truth, person, and living entity, who are one in quality and their relationship as part and whole. This is the ultimate understanding of the life. There is no better truth than this. Ultimate goal, it is very clear over here. Ultimate truth is we are all subordinate to Krishna. We are all individual living entities, separate from Krishna and trying to serve Him. O king, if you accept this conclusion of mine, being unattached to the material enjoyment, adhering to me with great faith, and thus becoming proficient and fully aware of the knowledge and its practical application in life, you will achieve the highest perfection by attaining me. Then we will go back to Krishna. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, after thus instructing Chitraketu and assuring him of perfection in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master, the Supreme Soul, Sankarshana, disappeared from this place as Chitraketu looked out. Thus ended the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of 6th canto, 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled King Chitraketu, who is the Supreme Lord. So we are all in that teeming position, forgetful of our eternal identity, that we are all spiritual souls, servants of Krishna. So when once we are to get awakened. How are we going to awaken? By the chanting of the holy names of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, in the association of devotees. Then we understand the hard reality of our material existence, and by thus accepting, we go back to Krishna. That is the perfection of Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So I think I have gone too fast today, but please forgive me for all the things, all the offenses which I have made during this course of class. Well, please go back and read the purpose, and they are wonderful. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Any questions? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for taking the service today. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving that me all of your association. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for wonderful.
So if there are no questions, shall we end the session over here? Okay. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्णा, हरि बोल।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी,
हरे
दंडवत
कृष्ण।
प्रणाम।
थैंक यू।